is.
Yeah.
So I think, like at a certain level, you start empathizing, with your subjects. And I think, with the journalists, I think the trouble is that we start empathizing too much.
Hmm. How is too much? What is too much?
So I remember, when I first came back from I was working in the UK for the BBC, and then I decided to come back to India to work in India.
What
I've
made
always,
you want to come back to India?
I've always wanted to work in India, because that that this is where I'm needed. I've always felt like there are stories to be done here. In development, in developed country, there's security. There's maybe more money in terms of India, but I was not happy doing the work I was doing. It was all very, what should I say? There was no challenge. So I've always wanted to like work in India. So I came back. I joined Times of India, and I joined Times of India because I wanted to learn print journalism because I was a radio journalist before that.
Okay.
So sorry, I've just totally lost track of the question you asked.
No. You
Oh,
please
what is too
continue.
much? Right. So when I joined Times of India, I remember I was sent on an assignment to old age home.
Okay.
Some minister was running it, and there was some thing, and they sent me to. But when I went to the old age home, and there were these old people, and their children are all abroad.
Was it a kind of sting operation or something?
No. Just a normal,
Normal
the minister,
interview.
wanted to inaugurate it, and like we just needed to get a human interest story from it.
Right.
And their situation was so pathetic. It was not how they were living. It was just how lonely they were. And
Absolutely,
they all had children. Who were well established in life. But remember also that this is many years back. I'm talking
Yes,
about. So I'm talking about 2002-3, right? And I came back home and I couldn't speak for 3 days, and I was just howling in my bed, for 3 days, I just couldn't get the images of those women out of
That
my
time you were living alone, or
with
were
my
you
parents.
with
And
your
my
parents?
mother got really, this thing, like, and my mom was like, but if you're a journalist, you cannot be so. But I think, like, that thick skin, develops after a while. But I still get very affected by my subjects. Like, I really get affected. My therapist says it's because I'm an empath.
Yes, that is true. Actually, that is true. And that really, sometimes makes you want to run away.
Exactly.
Okay, great. तो मैम जो आपने बोला आपकी बुक में कि like your mom also had a job of her own, but your dad was always like, तुम बच्चों का ध्यान नहीं रखती, ये नहीं करती, वो नहीं करती, what good. And this is a case with almost, I think, 80% of our households, Even I'm a single mom, and my parents, well-meaning people, but they are like, कि तुम बेटी का ध्यान रखो ज़्यादा, and your job is not that important. Now, how does one find salvation here? How do women find salvation here?
I think ये जो शादी का जो ये चूचना है ना, like it's like for Indian parents it's the be all and end all of life, and they bring up their daughters to think that अगर शादी नहीं हुई तो पता नहीं कैसी बर्बादी होगी. Second thing is that a lot of women want to get married because they want to escape the patriarchy at home, right? So
True that.
Two things there. One is that they feel that like if we like get married, we'll have our own life, because throughout your life you are hearing that you are pariah dhan, right? तो आप पराया धन
तुम्हारी तो शादी होनी है,
अपने घर में जाके करना सब कुछ, जो भी करना अपने घर में
हाँ,
करना,
अपने
तो
पति
ये
के साथ.
क्या है? पति का घर भी पति का है. तो anyway, so we grow up with that feeling कि यहाँ पे भी जगह नहीं है, वहाँ पे भी जगह नहीं है, and then you find someone who loves you, who accepts you, at least during the initial courtship period, right?
Yeah.
Then you are like
and the
all in
Mills and
love.
Ben won't say so.
So, but you are right. I have so many friends who have been really mistreated by their like boyfriends, and even then they have gone and married them just because they wanted to escape their father or their paternal home, maternal home. So the point is that first of all, we do not need to bring up girls, making them believe that this is not your home, you are paraya dhan, and that ultimately to शादी करना है. तो क्या होगा, इतना पढ़ाई करके क्या होगा, बाहर जाके क्या होगा, वो वापस तो किचन में ही जाना है. तो आई रिमेंबर व्हेन आई फर्स्ट व्हेन आई गॉट द चांस टू study abroad, so my aunts had come and my mom was very proud, and then my aunt said that भाभी पर क्या फ़ायदा, फिर आके बाद में तो फिर वो किचन ही संभालना है ना. And I remember that, because it's nothing new. I am sure you have heard that so many times also, right? So I think first and foremost we have to reorient ourselves.
How do we do that?
Don't talk about marriage. Don't start saving for your daughter's marriage. What is this nonsense? I had a friend, whose mother used to gift her a gold ornament every birthday because she was just getting a
Saving
dowry
for the marriage.
trousseau, whatever it's called nowadays. Okay.
Yeah.
The point is that as I said, it has to come from inside the house. In our homes. So you have to instill confidence in your daughters. You have to stop making them feel like they are some कुछ दिनों का मेहमान अपना घर पति के घर में है, and normalize being single. It's as simple as that. Normalize being single for women. Normalize that you can have fun if you're a single woman.
I have a cousin, very great girl, and working and all that. And now the problem is her mother is also somewhat an outlook. I mean modern outlook, but the family pressure is getting on. नहीं इसके लिए रिश्ता ढूंढना. They searched for a rishta, and that rishta turned out to be somebody who was actually hoping for a lot of dowry. They broke that away, and now she's still trying to search. Now how does one live with that? Like, let's say these girls do face all this, that every time you're searching for somebody and you want that somebody to accept you as you are, but in arranged marriages that is not the case. It's an arrangement. So what can we change to change this? I mean, इट्स ओके कि लड़की बस सिंगल है और ठीक है, उसका अगर किसी से दोस्ती होगी या कुछ होगा तो होगा, बट पेरेंट्स कांट टेक दैट, और इफ पेरेंट्स टेक दैट, relatives can't take that. How does one change that?
See, change तो कहीं ना कहीं तो आना ही पड़ेगा. And maybe it starts with us. I mean, if society is not going to change, then we have to make it change. And women before us have done it, right? Women didn't have voting rights. Today we have voting rights.
Absolutely.
Women couldn't access higher education. Today women can access higher education. One point of time for women to work was an anomaly. Today women are working. And सबसे बड़ी बात तो है कि when your husband died, you were expected to be a sati, and today you are not. And widowhood is also not that that is taboo probably in the villages, but even then remarriages are not a taboo anymore. So I am saying that and I always say this to everyone who asks me this question, is that if women before us have been able to do it, and they had to fight the hard fight because there was no precedence. Today we have precedence, right? So all we have to do is just continue their fight, right? I don't, I think we have to stop thinking that we are isolated. We think in silos, because when we are shown role models, women role models, they're all silos, right? They're somewhat privileged, intellectually, or wealth-wise, privileged. And you keep thinking in silos, but we are not silos, it's all women, that's why I actually took a call to not use real names for the women in my book, because what would happen, I would write the name, the media would pluck one woman out, that media will pluck one woman out, and then suddenly they'll become this huge, and then the entire conversation will die. The conversation has to be about all women.
चलो ये बताओ आप कि जैसे वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट वुमेन एंड वी टॉकिंग अबाउट women, I won't even call it empowerment. I'll say कि somewhere we should be considered human beings like men are. थक गए तो हम भी थक गए, नहीं हम थक गए, वो भी थक गए, सब कुछ. But why is it that even in movies, television, movies तो छोड़ो, television में we are getting this overdose of these women, these superpowered women, bahu, beti, all that thing, and we are not letting it go because it's not going because the TRPs are high. Why are people sucking up to this?
This is a very toxic combination of patriarchy and capitalism. and there's a chapter in my book about that. But basically, if you think about it, capitalism and patriarchy are in bed together. Okay. Now, what does capitalism want? Capitalism wants profit, right?
Yeah.
So it actually works for, and it is this uh, productive labor and reproductive labor. This distinction is has been brought about by capitalism, right? So men will do productive labor in factories or whatever in those times, and women will stay at home and take care and nurture the man, because the man has to go out and contribute to the GDP, right?
Right.
So then what happened was that women started working, because the more modern we are becoming, everybody needs a double income, right? So if you still keep the whole thing unregulated, and then you have a whole pool of informal workers, that you can manipulate and exploit, right? Because women are paid less than men. I have in my entire life, I have been paid 40% less than like any like men at the same level, right? And so you have a pool of 80% of
तो आपने
women.
कुछ बोला नहीं when you were paid less?
तो ये सब ना बाद में पता चलती है. Then you are like say for example, I remember one incident when I joined Times of India. So like whatever salary they offered me, and I asked someone that is this a good salary, because I was working in the UK, I didn't know, and they said yeah, this is a very good salary. So I thought it was low, but I was like okay, ठीक है, मुझे footing बनाना था, I've never worked in the Indian media. And then after I joined, 3 months later, this guy joined, who's my husband now, and then one day like we were just talking, and
Same
I
level and
realized
everything.
that same, we're the same age, and I realized that they're paying him 40 to 50% more than what they're paying me. So I went to the HR. I said that how is this? We have the same experience. In fact, experience wise, I have more experience, because I have worked with the BBC, and and then he was like, oh, but why didn't you say anything while he offered you? And I'm like, but those days, itni matlab, like today, everybody is talking about these things.
Yeah.
Talking about gender pay gap, talking about gender gap in every, sector. But those days, you were just happy that you have a job, and you just wanted that job, because, my mom always told me that just do the job, okay? Because, the moment you lose your job, you're going to be dependent on somebody. So just stick to the job. So that thing is also there, right? You are always scared that. So they made it pretty clear to me that if you're not happy, you can leave.
अच्छा.
So dispensable. Yeah, women are always dispensable, right?
कोई और आ
So
जाएगा.
I mean, like, look, yeah, I have 22 years. I've been working in the media, and I have mostly worked as a freelancer. Is it out of choice? Not really. I've been pushed out of every newsroom that I worked in. Because I've always had ideas. I've always been very, I've been ambitious, and that has not, gone in well with men, because they already have this boys' club, and if you're a part of it, then it's fine. Otherwise, they'll just push you, and it has happened to me, and I'm very open about my experiences. There are like lots of tweets. If you go in my Twitter, you'll see all the places that I've been pushed out from. So I think sorry, what was I saying?
Pay gap. Your story about.
No, I know, but you asked me what was the question.
My question was. It's so amazing. Anyways, we were trying to understand about women and about working and all that. What I
Right.
yeah.
Capitalism.
Yeah.
So see, patriarchy also wants women at home.
नहीं, but then the women are the people who are actually looking at these serials and saying अच्छा ठीक है वो बहू ऐसे करती है तो ऐसे करना चाहिए and all that.
Now comes the third angle to this whole thing.
What?
Consumerism.
Sorry?
So consumerism, right?
Yeah.
अब देखो, I have never heard the term Karwa Chauth या Teej in my entire life in Kolkata. Today I hear that women in Kolkata keep Karwa Chauth ka Vrat, Teej, and I'm like,
ये कब था?
ये कब था?
हाँ.
So I'm sure we had our own thing, but like I'm just saying that why would Karwa Chauth is not a Bengali festival, right? But because you know the corporates are in your face all the time. Have you seen the Karwa Chauth ads? I mean, like I think
कभी खुशी गम के गम.
um, they had this ad about same-sex marriage, right? Two women, and I'm thinking to myself that they have not even left, you know, same-sex marriage alone. Like, why do you want to, you know, they glorify the institution of marriage. You know, every time there is a you know discussion about outlawing marital rape, the government has always had the same response to it. It doesn't fit with our culture or the you know institution of marriage. So you know there is a concrete also you know effort to uphold those patriarchal values that you know women men have such a good life, yeah, they don't have to do anything. Why would they want to upset the apple cart? You know,
In fact, I'll tell you this, because most women.
look at Ramayana, right?
Uh-huh.
Look at Ramayana. Like,
Yeah.
how, even today, you know, people. And who are the lead characters? A king who, you know, abandons his wife twice, takes away the kids, the wife suffers silently, and this is what we put up as ideal, right? Ram Sita ki Jori,
Right.
You know, Radha Kishan bhi, you know, you will hear, but that's about love, you know. But when it comes to marital relationship, Ram
उनके
Sita ki
36
Jodi.
गुण मिलते थे, तुम्हारे 36 गुण, ये तो राम सीता है.
तो राम सीता की जोड़ी में what is there so you know like so aspiring in being a Ram Sita ki jodi, you know, unless you want to be abundant, which probably would be good for a lot of Indian women to be abandoned by their husbands, to be honest with you, you know.
No, I consider that first divorce of India, you know, when she went underground. So I was
Absolutely, you know.
like, yeah.
Can you really call it a divorce, you know? It's abandonment, you know.
Yeah. No, she said, na, ki,
I see that as, you know, her committing suicide. You know? She went
Yeah.
back, you know.
she said, I am
I
not
mean,
interested
like,
in all
exactly,
this
you know,
again.
like for me, you know, it's like she's giving up on life.
Absolutely, that
And
is
you
true.
see, the fact that we don't think about it that way, you know, that pathos is not there. That, oh my God, she came from the earth, she went back to the earth. But where is the pathos, you know? She suffered throughout her life.
And she didn't say anything.
Didn't say anything, and she just went back.
In fact, you know, that is what, like, mothers always teach their daughters, you know, never say no to the sex with the husband.
Yeah,
If the husband
absolutely.
wants it, it's okay.
Absolutely.
Never, you know, express your desires, and
absolutely,
if he's okay with not having it,
Yeah.
let him. Now, and this is the reason why we have so many divorces here. You know, men are living alone, women are living alone. How will this change? I mean, do live-in relationships are, you know, now they're becoming normal, but they're not stable. How will this change?
But see, the point is that live-in relationships don't need to be stable, right? You know, you're living with someone, you're finding out who they are. Like, tell me something, you know, if you had lived with your husband before you married him, maybe you wouldn't have gotten married, so there would have been no need.
But that was such a taboo at that time.
That's what I'm
2004 was
saying.
like, हे भगवान ऐसे कैसे हो
So
सकता
that's
है?
what I'm saying, that you know today we have come at a stage where there's less taboo, you know, like about living relationships. So that I think is a step forward, you know, that women are thinking that okay, before getting married, let me just take. But you know, see again, you know, I think the flip side of that is that a lot of women also feel now we have lived in with this guy, we must marry him. That is also a flip
लोग क्या कहेंगे?
So I think you know like that's why I say that you know this is a very multi-layered problem, and I think the change has to really come from our parents because they are our first teachers, right? The change has to come from schools. Schools are so patriarchal, you know. Change
How are
has
the
to come
schools
from-
patriarchal?
I mean, you know, like say for example, when I was in school, girls didn't play football. You know, I mean, girls would do, you know, sewing and all of those classes.
Yeah.
And, you know, boys played football and other
Yeah.
sports. I mean, girls were allowed to play badminton. Again, allowed, you know.
Yeah.
But today I see in my son's school, they have a mixed football team. So girls and boys play together. And boys are also required to learn sewing. So these things are happening. Yes, these are, you know, happening in pockets. But I feel that, you know, they will, you know, like they're all, you know, like, see, the point is that, right, we have come a long way and we have a long way to go, but, you know, we have to keep on walking. If we just stop that, oh my God, you know, like, I was telling this young girl at the session, that we have come to a stage where we cannot drop the ball. None of us. We have to just continue to walk ahead. It's Sisyphean, You keep pushing the boulder up the hill, and you have to keep pushing it, pushing it, pushing it, and like the only way you give up is that when someone else takes over from you, and then you give up. But you can't, like let the like the rock roll down the hill.
Great. Thank you so much, ma'am.